Okay. Well, I'm talking from the perspective of SMEs and why ICT is very important for SMEs. So, because we want our SMEs to be competitive. And I think in the current world and the way things operate now, if you are not sound in terms of your technology adoption, and in particular ICT, it will be quite tough for you to compete. And looking at how business models have changed and so on, it is almost an imperative for SMEs in particular to adopt ICT, because certainly it is a way of cutting down their operating costs, and also that will also help them to be more efficient and more productive. So to me, if you want to be dynamic and competitive, certainly ICT adoption is a must-do, especially if you are doing a business that requires you to interact with your customers who are not quite physically there. So I think it is. Well, I think for SMEs, one of the issues about them, in adopting ICT is probably the initial cost, right? But currently, there are a lot of applications that enable the SMEs to subscribe to the service. There are services on the cloud and so on. These developments have really helped the SMEs to adopt ICT, because it has brought down the cost of, one, the physical infrastructure. Secondly is the cost of paying for personnel to maintain a system. And SMEs are very lean, they're very small. It is not easy for them to take staff for a very specific task. So I think for SMEs, the change in technology has made it much easier for them to adopt ICT. And you were just discussing in the panel payment gateways. Nowadays, it is much easier for the small guy to have access to e-payment facilities. A small or a micro business can actually have a terminal that they can make electronic transactions, accept credit cards and so on. So these are things that I think will really help SMEs adopt ICT. I don't think they're reluctant to utilize the ICT. I think it's a case of ROI, okay? Because if they're not aware that you can do or you can adopt ICT at a much lower cost now than before, that will be the main grouse, that it is going to cost them money, they have to hire people. But given the current situation, I think SMEs are getting to be more open towards adopting ICT as their enabler. We have seen a lot of your mom and pop shops, the retail, the what do you call it? Kedai runcit. Yeah, kedai runcit. They now, if you look at some of those, especially I think Klang Valley, many of them have already got points of sales, which wasn't the way to go last time. And things like barcodes, right? Now I think SMEs are much more conscious of the need to have, say, barcodes, because you want to put your product in a supermarket and so on. Those things are becoming the norm. So I don't think they are reluctant. It's just that they may not be aware of the advantage or the cost. But I think with a lot of the government initiatives, these things are becoming much easier now. And of course, technology, things that make it easier for you to purchase the service, as opposed to having to own everything and worry about upgrades and changes in technology and so on.